Um, about almost 10 years ago, about 9.5 years ago, I was driving down in Mexico, and I don't remember anything because I suffered a head trauma, but I've been told someone ran a red light and hit me on the driver's side at full speed, and I suffered the car was basically totaled, but because I took the entire impact.
When my husband and I found out that Will had been hurt, we we didn't know if he was. They kept saying they weren't even sure that they could keep him alive. And so we all kept praying. We were trying to get flights to go into Mexico and hire a medical jet and all these other things, and everything really worked out unbelievably miraculously. We had 3 cell phones going at the same time, arranging a med jet and arranging flights and money and going and talking to the hospital and all of these things, and the local hospitals all at the same time, and everything was going yes, yes, yes. I mean, it literally was going in a way. His situation was grave. That's the way they were describing it, was grave, and they had asked us to like hurry up and get over there. They were actually, he was on total life support. He had died 3 times, and he was, the only reason why he was alive is because he was on 100% life support systems. He had a team of almost 30 doctors, and they had like a lighted screen with, I mean, the thing was covered with MRIs of Will's brain. And the chief neurologist, who was an exceptional neurologist, said he had never seen anything as bad, and he didn't expect Will to survive. They didn't. None of the doctors, all of his bodily injuries, they weren't even as concerned about as they were his severe head trauma, and it was severe, and so severe that they didn't think he could survive. They knew he couldn't survive. The American consulate had met us at the airport and had driven us to the hospital, and I just kept praying, and the thing, just all of a sudden a Bible verse came to my mind. It says, trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not to your own understanding. And so I knew that God was there. I knew that the angels were there. The heavenly realm was there. And so they had called in a priest so that they could give Will his last rites. And the priest asked me if I wanted to donate Will's organs. And I turned to the priest, and I turned to the doctors, and I said, he's going to need those organs because Will's going to be able to walk and talk one day again. And then I asked the priest to leave, and I told the doctors that they were wrong, and they weren't very happy about it. And I know it didn't make sense at the time, but for that verse kept coming back to me as lean not to your own understanding, trust in the Lord with all your heart. And I knew that everything I was saying made absolutely no sense whatsoever. I could see it with my own eyes. It made no sense. They had it on the lighted board. It made no sense. But I knew in my heart it made sense. Understanding. So I knew that though this looked very horrible and very grave and very serious, because everything was broken and he had severe head trauma and everything, deep inside I knew that God had a plan.
And I was always questioning, always wondering. I had no idea why something like this would happen to me, where my life was completely changed, where everything was taken from me, and I actually lost faith in God. I didn't believe anymore. I even one night I I made a little prayer before I went to sleep, and I said, I actually don't know why I'm doing this, but I guess it's just to help myself feel better about it. But I don't believe in you anymore, and I don't see any purpose for praying every night or at all. So this is the end. This is the last. I don't believe in you anymore. This is it. So signing off, Will.
Even though I believe that evil exists and it is very separate from what is good and what is heavenly, I believe that also heaven can intervene. I had prayed that he would have been surrounded by angels all this time, just protecting him. And while I was there, he was still alive, and his face was swollen 3 times bigger than normal, and his whole body, everything was just, it was just a mess, really. And I just said, God, please let me know that Will is still here.
In a childlike way, I kind of had an idea that, well, I will simply ask God for a sign of His existence, and I asked a prayer for simply that someone randomly just come up to me and tell me that yes, God exists and yes, God is with you. And I said, so that I would know it wasn't coincidence, I asked that whoever tells me to come up and tell me in Spanish, and have them not ask me if I understand, but just say it. And my grandmother, for exercise, would go walking around the mall, and because I was in a wheelchair for a while and in a walker and a cane and such, I needed practice walking to really kind of learn how to again. And so she took me with her, and then while we were making the rounds around the mall, and sure enough, someone came up to us, and it was an older lady, I assume 80s or so, but she was speaking 100% Spanish, and she comes up and she goes, disculpe un momento, pero hay algo yo deseo decir a ustedes. Says, just excuse me for a minute, but there's something I need to tell you. And she started going on, and of course my grandmother speaks Spanish as well, so she knew everything that was being said. And the lady continued with, I don't usually tell people this, but something told me I needed to tell you. But I saw you walking around, and I can see angels around you. Angels are with you, and God wants you to know that God is here among us, and that God is with you, and He's listening to your prayers, and He understands your pain, and He wants you not to worry, that God is with us. But it cemented my faith and my belief, and it made it seem very much more like God was less of something you learned about in church, but more that God was a real being amongst us. That God was always around us, not just in the clouds watching down, but walking amongst us.
Several things came out of his accident, but it made religion or spirituality more personal to me, because I used to, even as a kid, I would think that heaven was you die in order to go to heaven. Religion was outside of you, and or something you participated in or believed in, but it wasn't, inside. And I now believe that it's very personal, it's very real, it's very here, it's very now, it's very in us. I believe that really, ask and you shall receive. I believe that there is a realm that exists with us, that is working and helping, working for us, helping us, supporting us, there's a goodness that's watching over us and protecting us. I do believe that there's evil in the world, but I believe even more strongly that there is a greater force that protects us and loves us and listens to us. And I think it strengthened my faith, and it made it more real. It made it so that I now believe that the heavenly realm is very real as touching this table is became real. More real to me that I don't believe now that you have to die to see heaven. I think heaven is here. I really do.